Welcome one, welcome all to the JERKMONGER show. I am your host, Elliot Fernandez, also known as the JERKMONGER. This morning I want to do a little tool review. I just got this at my local art supply store. Apparently the price is $6.40. This is a Kuretake Brush Pen. I have no idea what to expect from it, so I'm going to go ahead and let's unpackage it and see what happens. Alright, so this is for all you art heads out there that always ask me questions about my tools. This will hopefully give you insight. One of the things you can do to learn about tools is to go ahead and just buy your own. Buy some. Try to find something that's inexpensive, something you can afford, and give it a try. Most tools you can get are pretty inexpensive. They're like these little Kuretake things. They look like bullets. Well, they look like bullets this way, but they don't. It's pretty cool though. They also come with a little ball bearing in here, so when you press this against the back to let the brush itself get the ink, the little ball, what do you call that? There's a name for that. Anyway, the BB or whatever, just goes inside and you can shake it inside there. All right, so this is the package for it. I don't read Japanese, so I don't know what it is. So let's take it apart for a quick second, and there it is. So it looks like what it is some sort of felt tip pen. It's not a brush pen exactly. It's more like the Kuretake Emoji pens, except it's refillable. Well, that's interesting. All right, so looking at the discussion in the back, you can see the instructions calls for me to take this apart and then take that reservoir of ink and jam it into that. Well, jamming is a harsh word. Push firmly and press until you hear it click, sorta. All right, so let's give it a spin. We are going to unscrew this. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab one of the two that comes with it, which is nice. It comes with two of them, so you give it a try. If you hate it, no problem. If you love it, you get one more to use up before you have to go and buy some more. Boom. Press it in there nice and firm. Make sure it's in there tight, because if it's not tight, what can happen is it will bleed everywhere or leak. So you don't want to press too hard, but enough. See, you can already see the ink is starting to fill up that tip. It's going from white to black, from gray to black. So it's almost all full, which is nice. So the real question is going to be, how long will this tip stay like that? That's really, at the end, the ultimate test for any tool of this nature. It's great that you can refill it, but I've already touched the tip and it was kind of a felty deal. So, I hope it's good. Usually these pens don't stay on the back, and this one does. So that's kind of nice because it gives it a nice little balance. All right, so it looks like it's pretty black now. Let's give it a try. Oh, it's a nice thin line. Okay. And this, if you use it along the side, you get a little heavier line there. And the real question is going to be, is this ink, I like it already. I like the quality of line. Let me zoom in for you guys in case you want to get a better look. Let me zoom in for you. So yeah, makes for cool little lines. I like it. So I'll tell you what. The real question is it waterproof? So I just lick my finger and I'm going to rub it, and it is not waterproof. Now, maybe it'll be waterproof after some time. Sometimes these inks need to dry more completely, but this is my experience with Kuretake ink. I think they're not waterproof. But if you're just trying to do something for yourself, or for $6.40, this is not a bad deal. It really isn't. So you just got to decide, is this what you want to do, right? All right, so check this out. Boom, 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 shakalaka. Let's draw something with it. One of the things I tell people a lot when they ask me about learning to ink, a lot of times it deals with you learning to draw with that brush tool or ink tool. That's where the change happens, the shift. At least it did for me. So I'm just drawing little faces. This guy's tough. This guy's real tough. Look at him. Look at those eyebrows. How can a guy with those eyebrows not be tough? All right, check that out. So now this guy has an average, jabroni nose. No big deal. Like me. Okay. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. I'm liking this. It doesn't have a lot of, see, it's, so because it's a refillable thing, and I know that these tips can get beat up quite a bit, I wonder if it's not just worth it to just buy the Bitmoji pens and just replace them. Those are usually around about half the price of this, a little more than half the price of this actually. I think I figured out that if I was to buy 2 of those, it would cost me more than this one. However, the packs of the pens can be an issue, and then the pen itself, the brush tip may not always last as nice or be as nice of a get you as nice of a line, especially as the tool starts to split up a little bit. So what I like to do here is just kind of like, hey, let's go with that. So, all right, so while we're on the subject here, let me go ahead and draw something. Let's draw something and let's do a proper inking of it. I don't want to say with this. I'll keep this paper here. We'll just test it out. We're still testing it out. Now remember, this is a Kuretake brush pen. I don't know how to call it except that it has a little 7 up here and some other symbol. And I think it's Japanese. I hope it's Japanese. Maybe it's Korean. I don't know. I suspect that it's Japanese. According to this is labeled as a brush pen number 7. So that's kind of cool. To give me that much information. And as I told you earlier, this is the instruction on how to use it. Kind of see me. That's when I pushed the reservoir in there. All right, so let's just draw a real quick character here. Let's give him let's make a little creature. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna give him well, maybe I shouldn't draw in here. Draw a little higher because I'm running out of space. Okay, let's try that again. I'll put that to the side, and I'm going to draw a little guy here. Da-da-dun-da-da. It's going to have a little bit of a cheekbone, little tiny chin, pointy ears, just some kind of gremlin looking dude. And bigger eyes, so he looks more evil than typical. Give him a snaggletooth mouth, and a little nose. All right, so let's ink that guy. Let's see what we can come up with. Again, it looks like a little more ink has kind of gotten into the nib or the tip. Really nice. If it draws really nice. It reminds me a lot of the Bitmoji pens that Kuretake makes, and it doesn't seem to suck, which is kind of cool. As I said, the proof is going to be in how long this maintains the point. I don't know if that's going to be a problem after all, but as of right now, it's a nice tip. It doesn't have a lot of variety in the way that you can make lines. This is really good for things like sketching, or for if you like to sketch with ink, or if you're careful enough, you can do some nice like manga drawings, because there's just enough character in the lines. There's just enough thick and thin to give the line a little bit of life, but not enough to turn it into like traditional American comics where they use a lot of heavy, bolder, black lines. Well, some people do. Some people don't use it quite that way. Okay. Yeah. Not too shabby, this thing. I like it. Has a nice edge. The ink is coming out nice and smooth. I can already kind of see that the tip wants to lean. Kind of see that, but it's still maintaining a nice line. Again, I just got it. I just opened it here. I picked it up this morning. while I was doing my rounds. Sometimes when I drop off my kids, I head over to the art supply store just to see if there's anything I can try out new. This is nice. It's not quite a brush tip. It's more like a, well, you know, it's kind of like this one here. This is a tip. This is another, I don't remember who, this is a Kuretake product as well. And this one has a similar tip, but I use this one, I beat this one up quite a bit because I use it to drag my lines on my black and red borders. But that's okay. It's like a thin Sharpie at that point, but the ink is permanent. This, however, as I've already noted, let's try it one more time. Yep, so far, not water resistant at all. At least in this current state. Maybe tomorrow I'll try that experiment again, and we'll see how well the ink stands up to a little moisture. But I mean, you know, sometimes you don't need to worry about that. Sometimes it's just a matter of trying something new, different. You don't have, doesn't always have to be waterproof or water resistant. Here, I'm gonna, instead of using my finger, here's I have a little water pen here, water brush. I'm just gonna go ahead and now it has some Copic white on it, so I have to kind of get that off there. I've used it for ink paint before, so it has a little bit of blue on it. And the idea is to, well, you know, it doesn't seem to be rubbing off with water. So I wonder if there's just too much, maybe my saliva might not be the best test of it. Although, again, let's try this. Another cool thing to do is to take a part of it, and put a little drop of water, squeezing that right there, and let's see what that does to it. Does it ruin it? Well, you know, I see a little black ink coming off. Yeah, it's nothing crazy though. I mean, well, there it is. So this was a later drawing that you see the gray, it's gone gray. So that just tells you that the ink itself is not completely waterproof. So don't be careful if you use a pen like this that you're not also trying to use I would imagine Copics wouldn't work as well because it's alcohol based, although sometimes that does create a difference, but I would suggest not getting it wet too much. So what you want to do if you're illustrating something that you want to use a Copic or color with, I would suggest that you would instead color it first, draw it, color it, and then ink it afterward. That's a great way to overcome that problem, although sometimes you can run into issues there as well. See? Yeah, look, a lot of the ink is coming up there. So I don't know. I don't know if it's because, yeah, you see all that black? It's just making the water gray. It's turning it into almost a wash. Yeah. Well, anyway, not too bad. So let's just try here. Now, this is where you can benefit from something like that, right? So it makes a bit of a wash. So guess what? We can kind of use the ink that exists there and kind of get a wash out of it over here. Here, I'll rub that off to the side. Normally, I would put that on a piece of napkin or towel. And guess what? Now you can take this same water, and this is where, obviously, this is the benefit of having something like this, is it creates its own wash. It's almost like a watercolor in that way. It's almost like watercolor. Here, watch this. See what I'm doing there? I'm kind of creating these little gray tones with the ink. So now I can create a little bit of a shade or shadow underneath. Look how fun that is. Right? So you get the benefit of the black line, but you get to dilute it a bit and get a little bit of fun time there. Little fun time. I like it. So when this dries, of course, it won't, you still have to be careful. But that's not bad at all. So this is another way you can benefit from a tool where the ink is not completely waterproof. You can use it to create your gray washes. You can't go too much here because you can really go too far and overdo it. But if you're smart about how you apply your water to it, you can actually get some nice stuff. This can be the way you approach doing, say, a not a watercolor, but the foundation of a colored piece in the computer. You can do your grayscale here. Like, I'm going to try something else here. I'm going to use this section over here to wipe that off. I wonder what happens if I dilute this space. Does it make it softer? Sure it does. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating gradients, soft gradients. This is a lot like painting. So you know what? I'm gonna get. If you want a waterproof ink, this is not the ink for you. From Kuretake, and it usually comes in these little special Kuretake reservoirs. But if you are sharp enough, you can say, hey, you know what? Even though it's not waterproof, what can I do with this? Can I take it to another level? And I won't know for sure. Maybe I'll let you guys know tomorrow in one of my next videos. When it dries, will it dry strong enough? I don't know. That could happen. That has happened in the past. Some people suggested just let it dry and hunt for an hour or two, and it'll be better. So we'll see. Normally, it doesn't happen like that, but I can see why. If it activates, maybe it by re-wetting it, it also makes it dry better. I don't know. But I like what I'm doing here. If I wasn't going to color this any further, if I wasn't going to add red ink or whatever, this would be a great way to go. Speaking, of course, my black and reds. Oh, that's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. I can't really complain about it. All right. So I don't know. What do you guys think? It's drying, obviously. I can see that it's starting to dry off there. You can kind of see the wet spot disappear, but it's looking pretty cool. I think I'm going to give this tool a B+. Mainly because I prefer using waterproof media. But if at all you find a use for this, which I can certainly find a use for this, then you know what you're dealing with. At least you know what you will work for you, and as that's the main thing. So it's not a criticism on the product itself. The ink itself is dark. It's black, but looks like it can, because of getting wet, it can also be turned into a dark gray, which is nice if you want to create washes. And this does make a nice wash. Like anything else. You can keep pushing. You don't want to go crazy, but like I'm doing right now. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, this review of this Kuretake Brush Pen number 7, again, this is a quick look at it. It's actually pretty neat. It's a little bullet tip, but it's got a little bit of felt, so it makes a nice point. I wonder if I was to... Oh, look at that. That's interesting. The ink pushed or sucked out of the pen and created something different. Very cool. If you like this video, if you like this review of this pen, if you like the pen, then check it out. I bought it at my local art supply store here in Tampa at a store called AOE, but you might be online and you might want to look for this particular one. Just get a good look at the package. It has this cool little rainbow something or other going on there, and it's nice. It's nice. Again, it has its limitations if you like waterproof art, but guess what? Not necessarily does everyone want to have something waterproof. So if you feel like you can manipulate this, go for it. It only cost me $6.40. Not too bad. I like it. It's a cool tool. All right, guys. I'll hit you guys up again soon, and we'll talk more. Have a nice day. God bless you guys.